When you look at the Nigerian situation, when you look at where we are today, when you look at how the fabric of the society and the state itself are being torn apart right at the seams, when you look at the fact that, like Yorubas will say, Ile in Soko, the house is throwing stones, the house is threatening to collapse all around our ears. When you consider the fact that every family who is able to have done everything they can to send their children out of Nigeria, it's no longer about they are going to schools. No, it's about escaping the country. When you consider the fact that each and every one of those who rule Nigeria, they all carry second passports.
Hello, my great and wonderful people. We welcome you once again to our today's episode of this program. And today we get this crucial message. We want to say we receive from Barrister Dele Farotimi, just as you don't see small from the introduction of this very broadcast. I know Barrister Dele Farotimi, they send messages across time to time, but this very recent one, when we say he sent across, now something when we say with him as crucial message to each and every one of us at this present time. I beg, pay attention. We always beg you ahead of time when we say we receive messages from Barrister Dele Farotimi. Say not be message when we say any one of us need to throw away. And again, as they listen to us, help us to share and tag other people for all of us to understand how things they go and the ability for us to wake up to the urgency of the need of now. All right, I'll quickly leave you to watch and listen to this very man. We'll come back for more.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a new week. I joined a lot of others, NBA Ikeja colleagues at the bar, most especially the Ogunlano family, the in-laws, the children, LASU alumni, student union officials, past and present, past presidents, functionaries of LASUSU, many different organizations and persons to whom my friend, my brother and leader, Ademola Adeshina Ogunlano, belonged, because he belonged to all of us. He lived a selfless life. We buried him in the last days, and you all deserve his thanks. I'm sure if he were to be alive, he will thank you for a befitting send-off, much like he did when we all went for his 60th birthday. It was seemed just like yesterday. But it pleases God, and we can't query him to take my brother home. But I'm not calling a pity party. This is essentially germane to the subject I have set for myself this morning, because Ogunlano lived an instructive life, and it would be counterintuitive not to find the purpose of his death. So, I'm a man of reason, even though I'm also a man of faith. So, as I have not found relief in tears, I have found relief in asking questions of myself and of God, or if you care, of the universe. I've been trying to make sense of the fact that such a good man, a fantastic human being, incomparable, would die when he seemed so full of vigor, energy. Why? Why would such a good man go? Especially when God knows that I have so much need of him. We all have so much need of him. And yet he died. So I was trying to make sense of this. And as I tried to make sense of it, it came to me. God took him because it was his time. But God also needs us to understand the urgency of now. We have this tendency to believe that tomorrow is given. We have all the time in the world. Myself and my brother, whom we have now interred, we last spoke on the Sunday of the week that he died on the Tuesday. And even though he was a man very much at home and familiar with the fact of his own mortality, he lived as though he was going to die at any moment, much like anyone who is going to live on purpose. Neither of us would have imagined or could have imagined, nor imagined that that was the last time we'd be talking. People die every day, but to lose somebody who was so vibrant and who was such an essential part of one's life, it becomes important to introspect. And the product of my introspection, because of perhaps the suddenness and unexpected nature of his death, is the urgency of now. What do I mean? What is the urgency of now? Like I've said already, there is always a presumption in us that we would live forever. So we never plan to die, even though we might be ready to die. We rarely ever plan to die tomorrow, because if you must be visionary at any level, you cannot plan based on an assumption of death in the next minute, because you still plan with ambition, with vision. Vision necessarily goes beyond your own lifetime. So if you are envisioning anything, you are envisioning it without cognizance to the fact of your own mortality, because visions almost always demand more than your own lifetime. So we even when we look at our country, which was his own major preoccupation and what is my own major preoccupation, we rarely ever think of a time when we might not be there to affect its trajectories. We always presume that we would always be available to impact or alter or direct the course of its trajectories. Mr. Ogunlano, for instance, would have been on a plane to Abuja for the PDOMS case, for instance, if he was alive. But he wasn't. Just a few short weeks, days, literally days after his death. The day before his death, I was still telling someone about their need to speak with him concerning something else. So it becomes critical, especially when because after his death, the one thing that kept coming to my consciousness is the song that I sang opening this sermon. That's the one that says, Sheito She Oremi or John Law. It's an exhortation to do everything that we wish to do in a timeless manner. Do it quickly, do it now, with the urgency of now. The fact of my mortality had never been brought more closer to me than by the fact of Sherubaon's death. Death was so scared of him, it had to sneak up on him. There was nothing to suggest that he was going to die like he died. But he's dead. He lived a full life. And men will yet chronicle his deeds. But he's dead. His capacity to affect our circumstances, in spite of our deep need for him, has been curtailed by his mortality. So there is an urgency of now. What do I mean about urgency of now? When you look at the Nigerian situation, when you look at where we are today, when you look at how the fabric of the society and the state itself are being torn apart right at the seams, when you look at the fact that, like Yorubas will say, Ile in Soko, the house is throwing stones, the house is threatening to collapse all around our ears. When you consider the fact that every family who is able to have done everything they can to send their children out of Nigeria, it's no longer about they are going to schools. No, it's about escaping the country. When you consider the fact that each and every one of those who rule Nigeria, they all carry second passports. They have homes abroad. They're ready to go like that. The way they are even running the country is suggestive of a people who are in a hurry to have the house collapse so that they don't need to account for their crimes. So it says that there is an urgency to our circumstances. Our situation demands that we do something now. We just can't continue to fast and pray or hope that something would happen or continue to bellyache like I'm bellyaching. We can't continue like that. Something has to give. Something simply had to give. And it reminds me, about a couple of years ago, way before the election, maybe like 2022, early 2022 or late 2021, I attended a function organized by the CDHR at its office at Adeni Jones. And something struck me. I was speaking to a conscious crowd comprising largely of the upper crust of Nigeria's conscious cadres, Revolution Now friends, CDHR apparatchiks, all kind of socialist organizations were represented. What you would expect and believe to be the conscious, upper conscious, super conscious layer. And I noticed that nobody really disagreed with the diagnosis. But everybody was waiting to be told the solution. And my speech fell short of offering solutions. It wasn't because I didn't have an idea or ideas as to what the solutions were, but it was because I had imagined at the time that we could vote our way out of this mess. I had imagined that our votes would count. I had imagined that the judiciary would not be as brazenly corrupt and lost as it proved to be. I had imagined that we could somehow have a revolution through the ballot box. And we did. But Nigeria managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And we have now ended up with Bulaba. Every one of us have become victims. Baptists, Batidiots, articulated morons, obedient, everybody victims because of our inability to gain a revolution through the ballot box. That's where we are. Because if I'm talking about the urgency of now, there is a critical need to ask ourselves, where are we? So that's where we are. We are in this mess where the government, essentially a criminal enterprise, has assured that all of us were stuck in a situation where, even though they were going to turn minimum wage to 70,000, they haven't done so. But petrol has moved from a little over 600 naira per liter and jumped to over 1,000 naira. It's happened that our currency has been hopelessly devalued. It's happened that we are in a situation where we've become easy praise because we've allowed ourselves to be horribly divided with ethno-religious bigotry. Nonsense. That is where we are. So it is clear that our pathway cannot be through the electoral route. Our situation cannot be redeemed through the courts. I've even come to believe that the ruiners of Nigeria have actually come to believe as well that Nigeria is finished. They are actually wondering how come we've not rebelled, revolted, and taken the country into an implosive cycle. I'm sure they are, because how do you explain a situation where your rulers are carrying second passports and they are anything but resident in the country that they have ruined? How do you explain that? So you have a situation today where the people themselves have become the victims in the games of ruination being played by those pretending to rule the country. So, if we are where we are, hasn't the time come to draw the lines? Hasn't the time come, actually, to determine what is in our enlightened selfish interest as a collective? There must be things that are good for both the Yoruba, the Fulani, the Igbo, the Hausa, the Ijaw, the Sekiri, the Urubos, and each and every one of the humanities that are trapped in this blighted but blessed country of ours. Is it so difficult and beyond our capacities as a collective to identify common purposes? Which one of those common purposes that is good for everybody, rich and poor, old or young, which one of those common purposes has any one of the governments at any level ever pursued? I'm not talking about narrow selfish interests. Which one of the common purposes that can be agreed across ethno-religious lines in Nigeria or in any state or local government of Nigeria are being pursued by any one of the governments at any level in Nigeria? The only thing you can take for granted is that the Nigerian state is not interested in what is of interest to the Nigerian victim. We are where we are by design. Those who profit from where we are not likely to ever change anything unless we change what we are doing, change the way we perceive some of these issues. If we took away the ethno-religious blinkers and see it for what it really is, what it simply means is that your enslaver just happens to speak your language and actually answers the same names as you are, but he is not really related to you because the diarrhea of the monkey is not the concern of the baboon. To save a people, you must be related to them. You must understand that the people pretending to rule the country are actually benefiting from his ruination. So draw the line, identify the common interests. Don't wait until we are picked up one by one, because the reality is that when you tolerate injustice or evil against one man or a group of people, you are legitimizing it for when it should be employed against you. Remember, those who profit by these divisions and oppression are not divided. Joe Igbokwe, he will stroll into Tinubu's space before someone like me or you, but Ayekini, would ever find your way anywhere near his space. He not send your ethnicity, it's about interest. You are the ones who are busy fighting over ethnicity, over religion. Pastor pikin, they marry imam daughter. Imam daughter, they marry pastor pikin. Now they remember race. Them not send race. They not send ethnicity. They not send your religion. If you know hear English, make you hear this one. They not send you. Now you suppose send yourself. Not find who not find you. Find the person where they feel the same affliction where you they feel. Now, waiting you they find where you won't deny to the next man. Egbon, what is it really that benefits you that you believe that the next man should not have on account of his ethnicity or religion? Find the common purposes, draw the line, because if you don't draw these lines, very soon the capacity to draw lines are going to be taken away, either by death or by happenstance. There is the urgency of now. You don't have forever. Every day things are growing progressively worse in Nigeria. If you are holding any savings, which you are unlikely to have because everybody has become existential, but if you are holding any, what you find very quickly is that your money is evaporating because the loss in real terms, in terms of devaluation, is faster than any interest that any bank might be able to give you. Common sense, everybody is running away from Naira. They're putting their money in pounds, in dollars, even in SEFA. If they are not buying illegally mined gold, nobody is holding Naira if they can help it, because the government is the one killing the naira. I don't know why, but maybe perhaps because they have also killed the country. Something has to give. We cannot continue like this. At some point, we're going to have a plan for the day after. The difference between a revolution and chaos is the plan for the day after. This system is dead. This system is dead. If you're not going to end up with a zombie apocalypse, we're going to have to, at some point, decide what the day after today is going to look like. To continue to prop up this system is to self-immolate. I have no interest whatsoever in self-immolation. If I must die in pursuit of the truth and purpose, happily I go to sleep. But let us be clear and very clear. This system is dead already. We're having a zombie apocalypse. Your president is the horseman of the apocalypse. I warned you before the election. I'm not blaming his election on you, but I'm telling you to factor in where you are in envisioning the way forward. There is no easy way forward. We're going to have to decide what our common purposes are, then come to an agreement on what the day after will look like, and then set our stock by the truth. The Nigerian revolution is not a given. The only thing that is a given, and which is what the Nigerian ruiners have planned for, is chaos. There is no revolution without a plan for the day after you say enough is enough. If there are people who deem themselves patriots of the unborn nation that Nigeria can be, it's time to start talking about the plan for the day after. Because there must be a day after this madness. This madness has to end. This madness has to end. If Nigeria is allowed to implode, it portends evil for our race. This is no longer about an ethnic nationality or a group. It's no longer about economic interest. It is the very life of our race that is at risk. If Nigeria must break, let it break peacefully. If we must go our separate ways, let it happen peacefully. The only people who gain if we allow this country to go up in smoke as our ruiners appear to be prodding it are the ruiners themselves and the undertakers that you call the international community. We gain nothing. Our homes should not be turned into war zones. It is already bad enough as it is. It is bad enough as it is. The international community cares nothing for me and you. It is our common interest that can preserve this country in peace so that the ruiners of this country can face justice for the evils that they have done against us. Please, let's start talking about plans for the day after. We've moved beyond platitudes. The time for identification of what the problems are over.
All right, my great and wonderful people. I believe say you now don't understand the reason why they say I dey beg you from the beginning. Say make you I beg pay attention to this very message. And if you be that person when they say you listen from the beginning to this very point, God bless you. And not forget, help us share this message to everyone when they say you know. This one now call to awakening. Yes, call to be aware of the things when it be say we need to do. This will not be time to blame each and every one of us about the things of the past, either the presidential election or the governorship election, local government chairman. No, waiting don't happen, don't happen. Solution, way forward, just as you hear from Barrister Dele Farotimi, now it be the next thing for us to plan. And again, one thing when they say we need to know, waiting these politicians, they try, may we continue to dey engage on. Now for us to continue to dey argue, They blame ourselves of the things of the past. Because if we continue to do that one, we not will ever get time to focus on the present and the way forward. If we still get people like this, like Barrister Dele Farotimi, now for our side, if we plan definitely with vision, those things will materialize. Just as he speak about his own friend. You understand? Today, that man not dey again. He don't die, right? So, waiting with me and not pass. We not talk say people like Barrister Dele Farotimi go die. No, anybody fit die anytime. So, make we make useful use of the people when they get the vision now to back us and tell us what to do, so that we fit get the solution when it will last us and also pass on to our children. All right, and so talking concerning this matter, we'll leave you to share your own opinion with us on the comment section, even as we draw the line here. We will see you again when we see you. Remember, we love you all. Bye-bye.